last time we saw the murder of Avner by Yoav. And we saw how people can convince themselves or try to convince others how everything they do is L'Shem Shamayim. L'Shem Shamayim. When Yoav came to David, he warned him, how did you accept Avner? Don't you know him? You think that he came really to make shalom with you? He came to kill you. He came to see the house and how the next time he's going to come into the house through the windows, through the doors. Do you really believe him? And when he kills him, the Tanakh says something very different. That he did it to take revenge for the blood of his brother. So people sometimes, as we say, to others, their agenda is just L'Shem Shamayim. But really, behind it, there are other agendas, more personal, more emotional. And the Tanakh is teaching us about Yoav in general, that he was a person that was highly driven by his own emotions and convictions. Of course, to David, he had to present it in a different way. But as we said, for David, it was a disaster. David hoped, after Avner came to him, that he is going to be the king of Israel, as I said, without killing anybody, without going again to any brothers' war, Milchemet Achim. He hoped that everything, now Avner will bring the Shivtei Israel, including Binyamin, the hard shell of Shevet Binyamin that were loyal to Shaul, with no wars, and here, by killing Avner, all the dreams of David shattered. Now, not only that Avner was not there anymore to help him, the big problem was that the people of Israel were sure that David did it purposely. That the whole thing was just, as they call it in Ivrit, targil. It was just like a trick. How to get Avner. He gave him the impression that he wants to make peace with him. He accepted him. But the moment he could, he sent Yoav to kill him. That's, I believe, how people looked at it. And David understood very well that this is how he's going to be portrayed by the people of Israel, and forget about being the king of the entire Israelites after a terrible incident like this. Because if this was true, David could not be the king of Klal Israel. This was a very low kind of behaviors that will not be accepted by anybody. So David had the task to explain very clearly to the nation that he was not behind it. It was not a trick, it was not an ambush, on the contrary. And therefore we see 4 things that David is doing in order to convince the nation that he had nothing to do with this killing. Number 1, David himself bring him, as I say, to the national cemetery. The capital is Hebron, like in Yerushalayim, that was recognized today by America as our capital. The cemetery, the national cemetery, is in the capital. And Hebron right now is the capital of David, and he brings Avner to be buried in the capital. This is the national, everyone who was in Washington, you know, the monument, this was the national monument. It was not anymore a person, an individual, a general, it was something of the nation. This is number 1. Second of all, David himself giving kina, eulogy over Avner. I think that I mentioned it last time, that when we compare it to the kina, to the eulogy of David on Shaul and his children, there is something very different here. While on Shaul, and especially on Yonatan, he speaks about their personality, about how he was personally close to Yonatan. By Avner, he does not speak about Avner. Who was Avner? He spoke about the fact that he was killed in such a brutal way that make the whole murder something of a national catastrophe. So it was not about a friend, it was about a national hero. Second of all, a third was the tzom. David himself accepted ta'anit upon himself to make sure that everyone understands that he took it to his heart. Again, normally tzom is not something that we do as individuals. David, as a king, declaring fast means it's a national tragedy, that we have all to recognize it as a national tragedy. In Pasuk Lamedvav, the Pasuk said, "V'chol ha'am hikiru, vayitav beinayim kechol asher asa hamelech." It was apparently evident that what David did was sincere. It was not just like, pretending that he's mourning, because sometimes you can see these eulogies with no tears. This was evidently that David took it to his heart. Vayedu kol ha'am v'chol Israel. Kol ha'am, I guess, is Yehuda. v'chol Israel bayom ha'u ki lo hayta me'hamelech להמית את אבנר בנר. That indeed it was not David behind it. I'm not sure that I said it the last time. There is a nice midrash here of Chazal on Pasuk Lamed Hey. In Pasuk Lamed Hey it says, "Vayavo kol ha'am," the entire nation came, apparently the elders, the important people, lehavrot et David lechem. We know Sudat Avraham is when a person comes from Beit HaKvarot and the neighbors and the friends are giving him food. Because according to the halacha, the first meal should be provided not by the family of the Avel. We have the concept of Sudat Avraham that the friends and the family, the more distant family members are bringing to the Avel. So Chazal says, "Vayavo kol ha'am lehavrot et David lechem." What happened here in the beginning was lehachrot et David melech, from the lashon of karet. When the people came to the funeral, they came with a decision to kill David. They were 100% sure that what David did was, as I said before, a targil. This was just a way to kill the general of the other camp. But when they saw everything, the way David indeed mourned over Shaul, he turned from lehachrot, from the lashon of karet, leachrit, to the lashon of lehavrot, to actually to support him emotionally, because they really saw and identified the sincerity of David HaMelech, and therefore their heart changed from an enemy to a person that was just a victim by himself of the circumstances around. However, I want to read the last psukim of Perek Gimel, because this is very, very important. By Pasuk Lamed. Let me ask you, before we read it, what would you expect now David to do with Yoav? Yoav participated in the funeral. Yoav heard what David said about the way he was murdered. Akemot Naval, he was killed like a Naval. The person who killed him is a menuval, is a bad person. But what would you expect to happen after the funeral? Exactly, to get rid of Yoav. If Yoav did something, why not? You say not. Why?
It's a business.
What do you mean?
He has to run a country. He has to eat. The fact that he made a mistake, so he hopes that everyone's going to forget.
I'm sure that this question was in the mind of David. What are you doing in a situation like this? On one hand, he was very, very upset with Yoav for doing it. And I would say, if I would be on the nation and David want to show his power, I would expect him to kill Yoav. Yes?
Was there an idea that a person had a right to take revenge for a relative, that people who found out that it was because of his brother that he killed him, so they would sort of give him some leeway. In other words, they would kind of understand that it's.
Well, concept like this exists. It's very, very true. There is a concept like this, with no question, of Geulat Dam, Goel Adam, and clearly, Yoav saw himself as Goel Adam of Asael. And that's why the Tanakh said that he did it to take revenge for the blood of Asael. However, as we said a few times, when later in Melachim, whenever we are going to get there, when Shlomo judged Yoav, he does not accept it as any excuse. Because as the Tanakh said here, it was not really Geulat Dam. He left Avner with no choice. He tried to kill Avner. What a person must do. He tried everything to make some peace with him or to ask him to go to a different direction. Avner did not, Asael did not this, and he was persistent to kill Avner. He left Avner really no choice, no other choice. By the way, the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin is dealing with it, and the Gemara says something very interesting, that Yoav complained. He said, I understand that it was under war, but you can see such a well-trained warrior who managed, when he was actually not seeing the person who chasing, because as the Tanakh described it, it was this way. So he was such a well-trained person. Why he hit him in the heart? He could hit him somewhere else. And the halacha is that Rodef can kill someone if he cannot stop him in any other way. The halacha is that if someone runs, chas v'chalila, after you and you must kill him, well, you have to kill him, but with one condition, that this was the only resort to save your life. If you could save yourself in another way and you kill the other guy, you yourself become a murderer. So it's a very tricky situation, and the Gemara explained the whole discussion between Shlomo, we will speak about it, the tzava'ah, the will that David left Shlomo regarding Yoav a little bit later. So halachically there is lots of room to negotiate here, but there's no question. The whole appearance of what happened is clearly that Yoav decided what to do. He acted upon his own emotion, did not think at this point about David. As we saw before, it was not because he was afraid that Avner is going to betray David. This was not the reason. And therefore, David was so upset. But why he didn't kill him? So David himself explained himself. Because this was the next stage. And he said in Pasuk Lametchet, Vayomer HaMelech El Avadav, Halo teidu, you should know, Ki sar vegadol, Nafal hayom hazeh b'Yisrael. Avner was not like another soldier. He was sar, he was a minister. Vegadol, Nafal hayom hazeh b'Yisrael. I guess that he called him Sar because apparently he already spoke to him that he will give him to be the general, Sar HaTzava. Another reason why Yoav was so upset. Because if Avner is going to be the chief general of David, that means that Yoav is going to be pushed down. So David at least say, you should know who is the person who died. Sar vegadol b'Yisrael. ואנוכי, היום רך, I'm young, I'm new, ומשוח, and I was inaugurated, but I'm still inexperienced, I still depend on the power of others, והאנשים האלה בני צרויה קשים ממני. And these people are harder or more difficult than I am. ישלם השם לעושה הרעה כרעתו. I cannot punish them, Hashem should punish them, and Hashem will. Well, I'll tell you, how does it sound?
Lame,
What?
a little lame.
It's not a little lame. He admits that he's a lame king. What does he say? He said, what I had to do is to kill them. A person who does something like this to the king basically says, I am more powerful. I will decide how to act. These people are very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. And it happened many times in many armies that people like this who took the liberty to do what they have to do, they were killed by their kings. There is a very a famous story that is in Josephus, that one of the Roman generals, and we know that Josephus was a very good historian, and he tells about like what happened in the Roman side and in the Jewish side, because he betrayed his brothers, he joined the Romans. And he said that one of the generals that was supposed to fight against Jerusalem, he was very creative. He found a way how to knock down the southern wall. And although the king said, wait until they are going to surrender, they are not going to last for a long time, he decided to knock down the wall and actually managed to get where is today the gates to the Kotel HaMaravi. You know where the gates are? Over there was Metzudah that is called Metzudat HaChakra, a castle, and he managed to knock it down in order to take the compound of Har HaBayit. So Josephus is telling an amazing story. He was called by Caesar to Rome and said, you did something incredible. You maybe saved the life of many soldiers, and therefore you deserve a medal. And he gave him a medal. He said, but you did not listen to my orders. And the general who does not listen to the orders of Caesar is very dangerous. You want me to kill you, or you are going to commit a suicide? And the general went and he jumped off the wall somewhere in Rome and killed himself, which is an amazing story, and apparently it's a true story. And it happened again and again. Rommel ended his life the same way. Hitler suggested him, take your life or I will take them. So powerful leaders, and Chaz v'Chalila, I'm not comparing in any way, they are aware of the danger of a very strong general for many, many reasons. And with no question, after David made such a mourning, very strong way, people were waiting that he will kill Yoav. And he couldn't. It was indeed a business decision. He couldn't. He was not in a state yet that he could give up the strength and the backup that Yoav and Avishai's brother gave him. And therefore, what David does, he waits until the kingdom is going to be stable and solid. But this never happened in his days. It happened in the days of Shlomo Melech. His son Shlomo managed to stabilize the kingdom. At the end of the day of David, then he did not need the power of Bnei Tzuria, who were cousins, remember? And Shlomo killed him. So David had to make a very tough decision, and we are going to see that this decision was not fully understood by everyone when we are going to learn Perik Dalet. But David is telling us, I am still not ready and right to be a king like any other king. I'm too young, these people are very powerful. I'm afraid that if I'm going to kill now Yoav, eventually Avishai, someone else is going to kill me. So at this point, he talked to the close circle, le'avadav. He cannot make a public announcement. He did what he did. But for a king to go and to admit the public, I'm lame, is a big problem. So to his loyal servants, he said, I'm lame. But he cannot do it to the people outside the palace, because this by itself will invite many tzores if the king is so weak. And we see, like, all these intrigues with Shevet Binyamin, with others, were a recipe for troubles, and therefore David did not explain why he keep Yoav to the rest of the people. As I said, we are going to see what was the result of it in the next perik. Now, one more issue that someone raised in the previous discussion. In the Tanakh, there is a rule. You are not in troubles if you don't deserve it. Especially great leaders, when they are in a big trouble, it's because they acted wrongly. And it doesn't make a difference if it's Moshe who is not entering the land, if it's Shaul for everything that he did and lost the kingdom or his kingship. And David find himself maybe in one of the lowest moments of his life. Such great expectation, and then boom, he lost everything. He lost everything. It must be that David himself was responsible in a way to what happened. You understand? I talk about it as axiom. I don't have any proof to it. But it must be that David himself, in a way, contributed to his own desperate situation. And what can it be? What can it be? Any ideas?
Wouldn't David have been stronger if he had actually done the killing?
This might be one, but apparently his admission, which is not an easy thing for a king to do, to say, I'm weaker than Bnei Tzuria.
Well, that's like killing yourself. If you say you're weak, everybody's going to think you're weak.
Well, it was more admission. Everyone knew that Yoav and Abishai were very powerful people. By the way, this decision not to kill Yoav paid off later in Perek Yud when we are going to approach Milchemet Aram. Abishai and Yoav actually saved the nation and David HaMelech. So David HaMelech knew who are Yoav and Abishai. They were extremely powerful, amazing, and Baalei Emunah. It's not only that they were like great warriors. They really had this strong Emunah in God that led and inspired the nation. So David knew that he cannot, at least at this point, give up their services.
I don't think you can be humble and weak at the same time. In order for you to be humble, you have to be strong. The fact that he announced to everybody and said, I'm weak, is meaningless. That's whatever you want to call it.
Self-destructive.
It's not self-destructive unless you tell it to the wrong people. If you tell it to your enemies, it's a big problem. If you tell it to your people, and that's the sort of, you got to bring everyone together, it's not a big deal. I think that...
I'll tell you what I think. I thought about this issue, and I came to the following conclusion. Certainly, a king cannot make admission, I'm lame, to the entire public. That's number one. However, here is the danger. The people in the palace, which are closer to David, and have their own power, like Yoav, like others, they might understand that indeed Yoav is playing a game with everyone. He's not so upset with Yoav killing Avner. And you know what? I have to tell you something. If you are going to read the modern Perushim to the Tanakh, especially from Christian or even Jews who are not fully engaged with Chazal, they do believe that David actually somehow brought this situation purposely. He was quite happy with what happened. Yes, of course, to the nation, he had to put a face. I'm not saying that I accept it. I think that They misread the Tanakh. But this mistake that this commentator had could be the mistake of the people in the palace of David. They must ask themselves, wait a second, this is a king. He can kill him. Why he doesn't? Well, he's upset, but on another level he's happy. And you know what? If we can get rid from the remnants of Shaul in this way or another, maybe we should do it. So David must explain to the people with power why he does not kill Yoav. He doesn't want the message to be confusing. Therefore, he cannot go to the public, but he tells the people, I know that you have this question, why I don't get rid of Yoav. That's the reason. I have to admit my weakness here. Maybe one day I'll be stronger, I'll manage to do something about it, but right now I can't. Yes?
It just shows also his faith in God, because he said that God killed
Right.
Hashem. We have this emunah that if they did something wrong, they'll be punished.
For sure, it sounds good, but as we say many times in the Tanakh, the idea of the Tanakh is that you don't leave, really the believers, they don't leave God to do things for them. The real believers mean, we know that Hashem gave us the power to do justice, because imagine just that. The judges will say, you know what? Why trouble? God, this is a thief, he took $2,000. Hashem will punish him, Hashem will take the money. We don't say something like this. On the contrary, what we say is, God give us the wisdom and the power and the strength and the courage to do things against our laziness, and therefore I see this by itself kind of weakness of David. When you leave things to God to do, it means I cannot do it. And David always, what was the strength of David until now? From the moment he appears with Goliath, we can do it. Yes, it looks impossible, but we will do it.
No, he knew, because he believed in God, he knew that he will need Yoav and Avishai later, that there is a purpose for keeping them alive. And when time for them to die, God will do that.
You might be right. And as I said, your consideration when you are a king, a real king, how to solve all the internal problems, sometimes it's much, much harder than fighting against your enemies. Diplomacy is an art which is not simple, and sometimes it's much harder than just go to war against Goliath, to kill him. Everything is fantastic. When you have to accommodate your friends, the people of your tribe, the people of Israel, things are very different. Yeah. However, I just want to draw your attention. Do you have Perek Gimel? I just need one paper, which in a second reading, I think this is Perek Dalet, thank you. I want to read two psukim. And I have to admit, I read them only when I came to the end of this Perek, and I said, wow, David is in such weak position, lame king, how he brought himself upon it. And I want to read two psukim, and you tell me what you think about it. ויבוא יואב אל המלך, פסוק כ"ד, עם פרק ג' ויאמר מה עשית? What did you do? הנה בא אבנר אליך, למה זה שילחתו? Why have you sent him off? ידעת את אבנר בן נר, פסוק כ"ה, you know Abner, that he has come to entice you and to know you're going out and you're coming in and to know all that you are doing. ויצא יואב מעם דוד, וישלח מלאכים אחרי אבנר, he sent soldiers after אבנר, וישיבו אותו מבור הסירה ודוד לא ידע. וישוב אבנר חברון, and then יואב kills him. What is missing in this psukim? Upon second or third reading, what don't we have in this psukim?
Didn't he send Abner?
No, he did not. He really, and as we know later, he had no idea And what Avner did was completely independent, not upon any hint, commandment of David. David said it very, very clear, and the Tanakh seems to emphasize it again and again.
He doesn't tell Abner not to go.
Exactly.
Abner was kind of letting him, David sort of saw that Abner was very upset and was dangerous. So with a little bit of foresight, he should have been able to sort of warn him at that point in time.
There is a silent here. Yoav comes, is very upset. David can guess why he's so upset. He was like the closest person. They fought against the Amalekites. They fought against the Moabim. They fought together. They ran together away from Shaul. Yoav protected him. He could understand why Yoav will be upset that Avner, although bringing him peace with Klal Israel, is going now to push Yoav down the hierarchy. David does not say a word. Avner leaves the palace. He did not hear anything. Maybe David should say, listen, this is the situation. I promise you, you are going to be a special advisor, a senior advisor. That's not a problem to create all kind of offices for a person who served you so loyally. And it might well be that Yoav, by this silence, understood it. I don't think he cares so much. Okay, he did not say go and kill him. He did not say anything, but he never said, I warn you, if you kill or if you do something to Avner, damcha beroshcha. David played it here, and it very much connected to leave things for God to do in a place where he had to show leadership. So yes, we understand at the end that he could not show leadership because he was afraid of Yoav. But this was the moment, this silence actually doomed Avner. If he would say a word, he might save Avner. He didn't. To the point that Chachamim, who were very, very careful readers, as I said last time, saw that all the curses that David cursed Yoav eventually happened to him. Every curse about Sarat and about a person who is going to be so poor and the person who will not leave the house, all of this happened to his grandchild, to his great-grandchild, to Uzziah, many generations later. But all the curses that David cursed Yoav eventually happened to him. Why? Because the king and the leader has responsibility not only for what he says, but for a thing that he doesn't say. And this is a great lesson that sometimes we want to keep ourselves away from troubles. We don't say a word. But in the eyes of the Tanakh, a leader who does not exercise in moments of crisis like this his power, he is part of the bad things, the decline of morality. And I think that somehow the Tanakh in Perek Gimel said, yes, of course, Yoav was the bad guy in the picture, but David, his hands were not completely clean. He regretted it, he showed everyone, but inside, when we come to weigh it, he contributed to the situation as well. And it's time to go to Perek Dalet, which is a very short one. I think that after we learn carefully Perek Yud Gimel, it will be easier to understand what happened in Perek Dalet. וישמע בן שאול כי מת אבנר בחברון וירפו ידיו וכל ישראל נבהלו. Again, his name does not appear because he was no one. He was like no name. This Bronx, no name. He was the son of Shaul, That's what we know about him. Because he had this zero personality, and as we said before, the only thing he had is the fact that he was the son of Shaul. He was the son of Shaul, and therefore Avner could pretend that still the kingdom is there. We have the son of Shaul, but obviously Avner was a strong person in the kingdom, as we saw. The son of Shaul could not even answer him when he tried to rebuke him about Ritzpah bat Ayah, the Pilegesh of his father. He screamed on him in a way that he was like so shocked that he could not even respond. וירפו ידיו, וכל ישראל נבהלו. This was clear that Israel, who were gathered around Avner, they themselves did not know what is going to happen now. And now, that's what happened to weak leaders. They sometimes invite bad people to finish the job. ושני אנשים שרי גדודים. Two people. שרי גדודים, they were heads of battalions. היו בן שאול, which means they were part of the army of בן שאול. שם האחד בענה, ושם השני ריחב, and the other one name was ריחב, בני רימון הבארותי, they were the son of רימון הבארותי, מבני בנימין, כי גם בארות תחשב על בנימין. I want to explain the end of this pasuk. They were the son of Rimon from Be'erot, from the children of Binyamin, because Be'erot techashev al Binyamin, because Be'erot considered to be part of Binyamin. What does that mean? So Bnei Rimon Be'eroti mi Bnei Binyamin, I would stop the pasuk over there. What is ki gam Be'erot techashev al Binyamin? Which sounds, how does it sound? That Beirot also considered as part of Binyamin. When you have like a sentence like this, what would you think?
Some question about it.
Exactly, there was some question about it, and the Tanakh comes to tell you that Beirot is actually part of Binyamin. Now, by the way, where is Beirut? Very famous city that the Arabs again kept its name for us. Al-Bira. Well, Beirut and Al-Bira, all these places, like the important place, Beirut is Al-Bira. Al-Bira is like next to Ramallah. Ramallah, Ramataim, Tzofim, and Al-Bira is just next to it. Yeah. And indeed, it's supposed to be part of Binyamin. It used to be part of Binyamin until we gave it as part of the sea areas to the Palestinians. But this is Beirut, not far away from Ramallah, which is not far away from Yerushalayim. We will go back to this pasuk, but I'll tell you, the Radak says something very simple. It was on the border of the tribe of Binyamin, so some people thought maybe it's not part of Binyamin, so the Tanakh is telling you, no, it was part of Binyamin. So it's more technical issue, but later we are going to see that maybe there is a big story behind this little story. Few words. Pasuk Gimel continue actually again in brackets tell us the history of Be'erot, Al-Bira. Vayivrechu ha-Be'erotim Gitaima. They were running away to Gat. Vayu sham garim ad hayom hazeh. There were many people from Be'erot who ran to Gat. And they are there until this very day, the day that the Tanakh was written. Again, very strange, who cares? Okay, so they run away, so there are people in God. Why should we care? What contribution it gives to this story? We are going to see it in a short time. וליונתן בן שאול בן אחי רגליים. What a tragedy. Yonatan ben Shaul, who was killed with his father, he had a son that couldn't walk. בן 5 שנים היה בבוא שמועת שאול ויונתן מישראל. He was 5 years old when the the news from Israel where his grandfather and his father were killed, he was with his nanny, Vatisaeu omanto, Vatanos. Remember, it said that after the Plishtim won, there was a behala. Everyone was so afraid because the Plishtim started to get into the cities of Israel, and he apparently was very, very terrified, or the family was terrified that the Plishtim are coming and they will kick them out. ותישאהו אומנתו, so his nanny took him, ותנוס, ויהי בחופזה לנוס, ויפול, ויפסח, became crippled, ושמו מפיבושת, and his name was Mephibosheth. You see, I think why it happened. Okay, she was afraid, she was terrified, she fall. But we see again that the nefilah of Shaul was not only in the battlefield, as it happened to Shaul and his children. Even someone away, but belonged to Beit Shaul, also was falling. And in a way, it was like a living reminder to what happened in Har Gilboa. This little kid, everyone see him, and it's such a bad feeling. And you know, it's not like today that Baruch Hashem, there are many ways to help people like this. It's a very nogea lalev. It's something very, very tragic to see a boy like this. But in a way, it's a constant reminder to what happened to this nefilah of Beit Shaul. וילכו בני רימון הבארותי. So the children of Rimon from Beirut, ריחב ובענה, ויבואו כחום היום, they came at the time of חום היום, and everyone who visited Israel recently, or you know, when it's cham, it's like chamsin, it's not like here 17 degrees, it was really hot. And apparently it was summertime, as we are going to see in a second. והוא שוכב את משכב הצהריים. Siesta, like he takes some nap at the time of the צהריים. I don't know, I remember in Israel, this was like, even if you were very, very tired, if you don't have air conditioner, it's just impossible to sleep. But apparently they found a way to sleep even in such a hot day. והנה, באו עד תוך הבית לוקחי חיטים. We have to read these psukim very carefully to try to describe the picture here. There were lokchei chitim, people who are chitim, wheat traders, and they came into the house. Are we talking about Rachav and Baana? Not so clear, right?
No.
It doesn't say that they were socharei chitim. So the Radak, Rabbeinu David Kimchi, said they disguised themselves to traders because they wanted to enter the house in mind to kill Mephibosheth. So they pretended that they were lokchei chitim. Some people explain, no. Actually, came people into the house to negotiate or maybe even to steal some of the chitim that Mephibosheth had. He was a king, apparently he had lots of fields by himself and taxes that he got from other people. Remember, many families in Israel consider him as a king. Vayaku el HaChomesh. Again, this was a very popular spot, al HaChomesh, the fifth rib to the heart. וריחב ובענה אחיו נמלטו. Were they the killers or not? You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes here, but it doesn't clear from the Tanakh if they were the people who killed him, or maybe the people who took advantage. They were part of the security, Rashei Gdudim, they happened to be around him, very normal, and once they saw that other people tried to kill him, they said, you know what, this is an opportunity. Let's kill him or let's run away. And instead of protecting him, they actually maybe joined forces with the people, Lokchei Chitim, who killed Mephibosheth. But according to most of the Parshanim, what happened is the following. Inside the house, there was negotiation between Mephibosheth or his servant, because he was sleeping, and the people who came in. And Rachav and Baana, the two generals, just used the situation. The people who were negotiating and apparently had to be in the house and to keep Mephibosheth, they were not alert, because they negotiated about the wheat and the prices and all kind of conditions. They used this opportunity. They entered the room of Mephibosheth and killed him. Let's read Pasuk Zayin before we are going to a more careful analysis. Vayavohu habayit. Now we are talking about Rachav and Baana. והוא שוכב על מיטתו, בחדר משכבו. And he was there on the bed, ויקו, וימיתו, ויסירו את ראשו, ויקחו את ראשו, וילכו דרך הערבה כל הלילה. So I'll read again Pasuk Zayin. They enter the house. He was on the bed, in the bedroom. Vayaku, they hit him, they killed him, they removed his head, which was apparently very popular at this time. Vayikhu et rosho, because that's what happened with Goliath, that's what happened to Shaul and his children, remember? And vayilchu derech ha'arava kol halayla. Strange. What is this pasuk? We already learned this, the story already happened before. It said, והנה באו התוך הבית, לוקחי חיטים ויקו על החומש, and רחב ובענה אחיו נמלטו. They ran away. And now, in Pasuk Zayin, what happened? Did they come back, or what happened? So some of the Mefarshim say, they ran away, but then they say, wait a second, let's go back and take his head. This was the trophy for such a victory over the king. They killed the king, now they need proof that they killed him. So they came back. But to be honest with you, this is like Rashi and others, but it's a little bit hard because it does not just describe the fact that they returned home and killed him. It describes actually the moment that he was alive. So we have two descriptions of killing Mephibosheth. One in Pasuk Vav, no story about the head, actually just killing him by stabbing him in the heart.
Is it Ishbosheth or
Mephibosheth, sorry, Mephibosheth. Yeah, Ishbosheth was the son, the last son of Shaul. This is Mephibosheth, the grandson. Yeah.
But where's Ishbosheth?
I don't know.
Like the tribe?
In Pasuk Chet,
It
it's
says
Ishbosheth.
Ishbosheth, it's the other one is
In Pasuk Chet, it's
It's
Ishbosheth.
same.
What
Ishbosheth.
what I'm trying to get at is, we're trying to end the house of Shaul.
So what happened to
We want to bring it to David and show that you're strong.
this was Abner?
This is Mephibosheth, this is Ishbosheth.
Yeah, but the head says he took a head of Ishbosheth, not Mephibosheth. Right? In Chet, it says
Yeah,
he
this
took
is
a
a
head of
different person. I don't know, apparently they like the name Boshet. So the son was Ishbosheth, and he was Mephibosheth, the turn later also to Ishbosheth.
Embarrassed.
Maybe they
But
killed
he's-
two
but
he's-
people,
But we're
Mephibosheth.
talking about the grandson.
We talk about the grandson, yeah, clearly about the
So
grandson.
they didn't even bother with the son. They didn't think that was a big deal.
I would say-
Why did they kill the son?
I would say the son itself, or the shmate, does not need even, because the beginning of the parak was like, this guy already like gone. Like with no Abner, he's no one. But okay, what happened when you kill the tier 1 people, the children of the king? Then there is tier 2, and they can be one day the next kings. So the next in line, Jonathan was supposed to be the next king after Shaul. He died. Who comes next? His son. So Mephibosheth, Ishbosheth, whatever his name was.
Maybe they
So-
killed two people.
This way, and listen, we talked about it many, many times, like when one family lost the monarchy, they were killed completely. So Mephibosheth was a small issue, like with no Abner, he considered like a dead man walking, but there is another child that might show some signs of a king later. So they wanted to get rid of him. And that we are going to see, they are bringing his head to David. They are sure that David is going to be extremely happy. And by the way, you can see in Pasuk Zayin and Chet, there is a word that repeats itself all the time. What is it? In Pasuk Zayin and Chet.
ויקום.
Vayaku, it's true, but there is one word that appears like 4 times.
Rush.
נכון. ויסירו את ראשו, ויקחו את ראשו, ויביאו את ראש, ויאמרו אל המלך, הנה ראש איש בושת בן שאול. Which means it was not just the head, the physical part of the body. It was, okay, the head of Israel. Which, okay, Shaul is not the king anymore, Yonatan is not the king, but the next in line, who's supposed to be the Rosh of Israel, here, it's in your hand. You don't have to be afraid of Beit Shaul anymore at all. So what happened here? Well, we will keep it for
Mincha is 8:25.
8:25.
Well, because you're not learning next week here.
Mhm. Right, so for Shavuot, let's keep it for another 10 minutes.
Chaparah.
The place of Beirut is an interesting place, but for this we have to explore the Tanakh in few ways. When Yoshua came to Eretz Israel, there was one nation that tricked him, and this was the Givonim. The Givonim lived in Eretz Israel. We are going to see where in a second. And they understood that Yoshua came to kill everyone around. So what did they do? They disguised themselves as people who came from a very far away place, not part of the people in the land. And they wanted a covenant with Yoshua that he will keep them alive. And he did so. He did so. When he realized his mistake, he made them chotvei etzim v'shoavei mayim, but for hundreds of years, Bnei Israel respected their covenant with the Givonim. So all the days of Yoshua, the Zkenim later, Shmuel, they respected their brit with the Givonim. In Perek Chaf, in Shmuel Bet actually, there is an insert of something that happened at the time of the Givonim. Shaul, the first king, who wanted to base the kingdom of Israel on a large area, he betrayed the Givonim. He killed them, or killed many of them, which will explain you what happened in Pasuk Gimel. Because one of the cities of the Givonim mentioned in Sefer Yoshua was Beirut. Beirut was one of the arim of the Givonim, and they were never integrated into Klal Israel, but they enjoyed a certain status of people who helped the Jews, enjoyed apparently the prosperity of the Jews. But when Shaul came, he killed them, and therefore they had to run away to Gat, which is not surprising. Who other enemy of Shaul, or Shaul tried to kill him, also ran to Gat? David himself. You know, when you have troubles with one person, the best friend will be the enemy of this person. So David ran from Shaul to Gat, to Achish Melech Gat, looking for a shelter, and the Givonim did the same. Once they saw that Shaul tried to kill them, they, or many of them, ran to Gat, as Pasuk Gimel said. Let's reread Pasuk Gimel. It says in Pasuk Gimel, ויברחו הבארותים גיתיימה. It doesn't say why. But if you read Shmuel Bet Perek Chaf, you know, because Shaul killed them, והיו שם גרים עד היום הזה. Now, there is something very, very interesting that happening in situations like this. First of all, before I'm going to the next point, let's reread Pasuk Bet now. When we have like a better understanding, what was Beirut? It was a city that belonged to the Givonim. The Givonim themselves ran to Gat. ושני אנשים שרי גדודים היו בן שאול. שם האחד בנה ושם השני רחב, בני רימון הבארותי מבני בנימין. כי גם בארות תחשב על בנימין. Now we start to get the story here. Beirut, indeed, was not part of Binyamin. It was a city belonged to the Givonim. But when the Givonim ran to Gat, there was a city free. And the Bnei Israel came into Beirut. And now, who are the people in the area of Beirut of Albira? The people of Binyamin. So, it considered to be part of Binyamin because they took it over. I can tell you from what we know today in Israel, there are cities that were left in 48, the people ran away from this reason or another. As I said a few times, they imagined that the Jews will do to them what they would do to the Jews if they would win, and therefore the best thing to do is to run away. But you always find some families that stay in the same place. Take Lod, take Ramle, take Haifa. Most of Arab Haifa is in Lebanon, in Sabra and Shatila, and the same is Akko. But some families, especially the rich ones, the influential ones, they stay because they have too much business to lose, and they stay in the same place. This Rechav and Bana, Bnei Rimon, apparently were people of this minority, of the old people of the town, Givonim by themselves, that stayed in the place. This is a very bold idea, because you will ask me right away, wait a second, you don't want to make generals from people like this who might hate you when Shaul kicked the Givonim from their cities. How come that Rachav and Baana will be promoted to be generals? But I can tell you, and I saw it not once and twice in the army, how the Druze, Bedouins, become high officers in the army. You know, they have a lot to lose. They show loyalty to Israel. They have lots of talents. I can tell you the Bedouins are amazing in understanding the topography and every movement and who was here. You cannot see anything. You see just like a carpet, and they will tell you here there was a person. He weighed so much kilograms, and he went this direction, and then he turned here and turned there. Unbelievable. And I want to say one more thing. You know, today we know Am Yisrael. It's very, very clear who we are. It was not the situation until, I would say, apparently Bnei Israel came back from Babel. A statehood, a nationhood in the way that we know it today. Take, for example, David. Can you imagine like a situation like this, that part of the people in Israel are aligned with the Palestinians or with Egypt, and they are actually against their government? You can't even think about it because we don't live in these times. But David went to Achish and had to leave Shaul and to go to Moab. These alliances was very, very common. And therefore, the people who were warrior, many, many times, they were schirei cherev. We know that in Tzal, obviously, everyone wants to serve, But there are some armies until this very day that they hire and pay people to fight for them. And this was very common in the ancient world.
Mercenaries.
I'm sorry?
Mercenaries.
Mercenaries, yeah, right. Rachav and Baana apparently were people like this. They were hired by Shaul to fight his fights, and apparently they were very good at it, and therefore they were hired by him. However, and this is important to know, and again, see what happened to the Bedouins. You know that in the Bedouins in the Negev, many of them, until 15 years ago, all of them served in the army. All of them. Very loyal soldiers, you could trust them 100%. What happened over the last 15 years is a terrible decline because they feel that they are victims of the Jews who take their lands in the Negev, in the other places. Obviously, they are very exposed to influence from their clerics and religious leaders. There are many issues. If you read about the Bedouins today in Israel, the picture is very bad. Not only that they don't go to the army, the numbers they used to be before, some of them turn their back against the government and against Tzahal and become part of a big problem that is happening today in the south. We don't see it yet by the Druze, although there are all kind of issues that going even then. People in the long run, remember, if they feel victims, they for a short time in history means for a few decades, they can forget all kind of things, but eventually it's coming back. Rachav and Baana, on one hand, were promoted to be generals. But deep in their heart, they remembered what Shaul did to the Givonim. National feelings are very, very strong. Very strong. And it's a great lesson for today too, that we cannot dismiss national feelings. People think if you give money, if you treat them exactly the same, everything will be fine. The story of Rachav and Baana proves otherwise. That at a moment of weakness, the people that you promoted and you thought they are loyal to you might turn their back. Something to learn from history. And the moment they could take revenge from Beit Shaul, they do it right away. What happened exactly in the house, we don't know. But the national suppressed emotions of the Givonim surfaced. And they took revenge against the old enemy, Shaul and his family. The way I read the Perek is that they killed him one time. You cannot kill a person twice, like it described here in Pasuk Hey and in Pasuk Vav. But in Pasuk Vav and Pasuk Zayin, there are two motives or motivations to the killing. The first one is to kill him, the national suppressed feeling against Beit Shaul. But then, I would say, the opportunity. One thing is to kill the grandson of Shaul for what their grandfather did to the Givonim. But these people thought, well, and you know what, on top of all this, we can gain something. If we show David that we killed his enemies, and the way everyone understood was that it's David versus Beit Shaul, we might gain something. Because they also lost their jobs. They were Sarim of Shaul. Shaul is gone. What is going to be with the jobs? We will come to David and he will appoint us. And I think in Pasuk Zayin, there is the second reason why maybe they killed Mephibosheth. The first one was because he was the grandson of Shaul. They wanted to take revenge. The second one, the Tanakh described a second killing where they cut the head in order to bring it to David so he will promote them. So there were two motives here.
Yeah, it's not second killing. The first one, they just injured him. Vayaku el Chumash, didn't kill him. And then afterwards, he was lying in
Vayaku el
bed
HaChomesh.
because-
El HaChomesh means, we already know for two times, the way Avner killed Asael and the way Yoav killed Avner, that it was El HaChomesh. Chomesh means like, unfortunately, I have to tell you, it's so terrible, but on YouTube, they publish like clips how to kill Israeli soldiers in the most effective way, and they teach them exactly where to insert the knife. It's exactly the chomesh. It's between the fifth and the sixth rib, because then if you hit the heart, you kill them. And these guys, it's unbelievable. You know what? Especially when you see the pictures today, they don't care about their children. It's just unbelievable in the world. Instead of like, what are you doing to your own children? What they teach them how to kill people in the most effective way. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable. So I believe that they already in Pasuk Vav, they already killed him. And especially, clearly to me, Pasuk Zayin, again, repeats the whole story. Shochem al mitato, he kills him. Why again the story? We know that Mephibosheth was inside the room, he's on the bed. They hit him once. It's two scenarios, it's two descriptions to describe, I believe, two different motives. One, to take revenge from Shaul. One, for the opportunity to take his head and to bring it to David and to gain something. Rabotai, I want to wish everyone a Chag Shavuot Sameach. B'ezrat Hashem, we will come again in 2 weeks. What